Yeah, the book does say like when entering the polar region, automatic switching to a true north reference occurs at various latitudes. It is announced by, or it is enunciated by a flashing light box around the word true on the ND, and a true heading reference can also be selected inside and blah 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 blah. The ND displays a green box around the word mag to enunciate the change back to magnetic reference when leaving the pole. We'll stay in LNAV, we don't need to change anything, we'll stay in LNAV. LNAV is the mode to use. So here's Tula. Yeah, I think this is the coast of Greenland there, at the very back. It's white, I don't think it's cloud. We can see the blue of the ocean, and then yeah, the Greenland coastline. Yeah, it's definitely there. All the way up here. I'm curious to see where the sun is. That's the moon, the last pair of moon crescent, and the sun is up here. So the sun is very high. The sun is kind of on the tail of the aircraft, so it's kind of southwest, yeah. But the sun is still very high, huh? Wow. So yeah, I'm not convinced that it's gonna get dark at all. I think it's gonna remain daylight all the way. Yeah, Tula is straight ahead. Wow. The climb count button is just to basically press the button and to change the thrust mode here back to either climb or to back to con. If you are on one engine, it will change the thrust mode here to con, to continuous. If you are like on two engines, it will change it back to climb. So it's just to change the thrust mode here, because sometimes, for example, once you start taking some flaps on the approach, it goes into the go around mode, or sometimes the thrust mode here as well can change to cruise. And funnily enough, sometimes it changes to cruise once you start the descent. So if you're like on one engine and you want to regain like a continuous thrust, then that's a way to do it, to press the button here. Otherwise, you can go also on the in the FMC here, go to the thrust limit here, and at the moment you can see it's selected to climb, but you can if you press here, we'll select to go round, and here it's go round enunciated, and basically that changes the limit of the thrust limit here. So how much thrust the engines are gonna give you automatically. So that's go round. So go round here at the moment will be 98.5, continuous is 99, so it's a little bit more. Cruise is gonna be much less, 95. Climb is 99.9. Climb 1 and climb 2 are the same because we are above the what is it called, the washout altitude or whatever they call it, where basically there's no more difference. So we'll go back to climb. Climb is usually like a setting used by a lot of airlines, even in the cruise, because you can see like between climb 99.9 and cruise, which is only 95.3, gives you a little bit more thrust if there's like turbulence or like a lot of wind changes and your speed drops, and you want to add a bit of thrust like quite quickly, this obviously offers a little bit more thrust, which can kind of take you out of trouble. So a lot of airlines use climb as the thrust limit in the cruise, the flu and the military. Oh, that's Tulu, I think. You can see Tulu, there's this kind of bit of land light jutting out towards the ocean, because then after that there's only the ocean. And yeah, that's a US Air Force base there, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. There's not much around here. Yeah, I think that's Tulu Airport. So the weather is very clear. If we need to divert, we can come here. Not that we're gonna divert today, but buddies, do you have to switch to true heading? Normally it does it automatically, so you don't have to switch it. It still hasn't done it. It still shows to the heading reference here is still on oops, it's still on normal. I'm kind of quite curious to see what the simulation is gonna do. And the real aircraft, it would change automatically to true, but as I was reading from the manual earlier on, it changes to true at various latitudes, so it doesn't change a set place, as kind of the system kind of works it out for himself. But here in the simulator, I don't know, so I'm quite curious to see what's gonna do. At the moment we're still at 76, so we're not there yet, so it might take another few minutes, or even maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, until we're further up north. Yeah, that's Tulu Airport down here. Thank you for the follow, 2006 151. Welcome to the stream. And Dokan Live Z, thank you very much for the follow. Basically, you go into a true track or true heading, because the magnetic compass is no longer reliable, and because you kind of get into an area of magnetic unreliability, the magnetic variation like changes so often that, you know, the compass basically and all the magnetic stuff is becoming basically useless. So you kind of like forget about like any reference to the compass, and fly like trading as if you are looking at a map. Yeah, here's Tulu Airport. So it's a little bit patchy there in the scenery, but yeah, we're flying right on top of it. So it's like from the air, it does look like you know, like a long enough runway, and I think it's more than 3,000 meters, so you can easily land 777. And I will refer you again to the YouTube video I made a while ago about like landing in Greenland on the 777. If you go on the YouTube channel and do a quick search, then you'll find it. Yeah, it's there it is. So far so good. You see, for example, I was talking about the magnetic variation. We are in a straight line at the moment, and we're gonna be in a straight line for the next 100 and maybe, well, 200 miles until the next waypoint. And at the moment I've got the track bug matching the current track of the aircraft. By the time we get to the next waypoint, the track bug is probably gonna be way out of sync, and that will be due to the constant change of magnetic variation in this area. We'll see if it's simulated that way, if basically the base simulator has, you know, all the magnetic variation stored in the scenery database or whatever. But I'm sure the track bug there is gonna get in sync, and by quite a bit. We've got about 25 minutes, 27 minutes to see how much is gonna change, but I think it's gonna change a lot. Let's see how it works. So at the moment we are on track 067, and as you can see, it's matching the current track, and we're going in a straight line, so it shouldn't change. The track should stay on the route, but you'll probably see that the track with the magnetic variation, so the change of magnetic lines is gonna change. You see, the track is already 068. I mentioned that like about a minute ago. So you're on a straight line, but because all the magnetic flux, if you want, like, you know, around the area changes all the time. Although you're maintaining a straight line, the compass kind of like drifts. So the magnetic, you cross like several magnetic lines that kind of make the compass heading like turn towards, like, you know, north, and therefore the magnetic like track or heading changes as the you know, the magnetic flux like points back towards the magnetic north, if that makes sense. On the en route charts, very often you can see the, you know, the magnetic variation like lines, although in these latitudes then they don't really depict them anymore, because it's changing so quickly that everything isn't true. Some uncomfortable, tense, dangerous situations in the cockpit. Let me think. Nothing really major. I like to say that it's good when things are boring, and too much excitement is usually not a good sign. Because if there's too much excitement, then that means that there's something wrong going on. But yeah, no, nothing major really. Just sometimes, I don't know, it can be like something to do with the passengers, maybe a bit of a medical problem or something. But nothing major. Maybe having to divert somewhere because of a medical issue, or otherwise, you know, in the air, like, you know, something to do with the weather, some delays on the approach, holding, and then getting a little bit tight on the fuel, or having to make decisions like that. Yeah, stuff like that, but nothing really, no like a full-blown emergency situation or anything like that, touch wood. And of course paperwork, yeah, involved every time, yeah, there's a situation like that. I was not aware of 777 with the continuous start switches, to tell the truth. You're telling me a new one here today. You've got the start switches up there, which are either on norm, and you turn them to go. You switch them to start the engines, but the ignition system is kind of automatic, and as far as I know, there's no switches like on the 737 to go like you know, to set your start switches to continuous like a 737, but yeah, I'm not aware of such switches, but yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm very surprised as well, I have to say, because I'm not aware of such a thing. So you see, I'll go back to the magnetic thing. You know, I had the track set on 067, and now the track bug is totally out of sync. So that means that the magnetic variation where we are is constantly changing, and the magnetic flux like keeps like changing direction as we move. Usually the magnetic flux like changes in quite like big distances, but here in this area of the world it changes like very quickly, and so the way that the magnetic compass like points to the north, like it kind of changes all the time. So it changes over like such short distances that it's not really usable, because it's always, you know, shifting. So now it's on 070, so we've although we're in a straight line, the magnetic track or heading, if you want, is already changed by 3 degrees in 5 minutes. Whereas if you were like over Europe, I mean, in 5 minutes it wouldn't move. When do you need cross-feed fuel on the fuel panel? That's a good question. That's our fuel panel here. Let me that's the fuel panel. At the moment we've got the center pumps on, and we are using fuel from the center tanks. That's our fuel quantity here, 86 tons. We've got about 31 tons in each tank, so that would be a total of, let's say, 62 tons, and therefore we have about 24 tons in the center tank system, which we can look at here. Let me open the... Oh. Yeah, you see 31.3, 23.6, 31.3. So at the moment the engines are kind of like fed by the whoops. Whoa. Hold on, let me reset the view. Yeah, the engines are fed by the center pumps, and then once the center tank gets to about 1.2. Traffic. Thank you for the subscription, Ghost Antagal. Thank you very much. I appreciate. Welcome to the team. Yeah, once you get to about 1.2 tons in the center tank, you'll get the ICAS message. It is fuel low center, that's the one. Yeah, I knew it was something to do with low. Yeah, you get the fuel low center at 1.2 tons roughly on the when you've got 1.2 tons left in the center tank, and then when you get the fuel low center message, then you switch the fuel center, the center pumps off, and then the fuel, the engines are fed by the main tanks there on the left and the right side. You would use the crossfeed valve if at some point you get like a fuel imbalance, which means basically you get more fuel on one side than the other. I'll go back to the fuel synoptics. Here we are. So for example, once we no longer have like fuel in the center tank, then we're looking at the two main tanks here, and if for example here you've got 30 tons and on this side you've got 27 tons, that's why we would call like a fuel imbalance. And to try to correct the fuel imbalance, you would open the crossfeed valve, and as I've just done there, and you can see the crossfeed valve here opens, and you can see in green the flow of fuel, and then you would switch off the pumps on the low side, on the side where the fuel quantity is low, so that the engines pump the fuel from the side that is high, to try to basically to balance the fuel quantities. However, I'll close the crossfeed valve here. Still feeding from the center tank. I'll close this. Close this. The display is gonna be messed up at the end. Anyway, yeah, the one thing you got to be careful of is that yeah, X-Buddies, that is totally correct. The aft button is the same actually. You can open either the forward or the aft. It's yeah, one or the other, it doesn't matter really. You've got to be careful, yeah, if there's a fuel leak, and one of the ways that like a fuel leak would take shape is that a fuel imbalance would develop. So before like trying to balance the fuel, you will need to make sure that there's no fuel leak, because if you're balancing the fuel and you're transferring fuel into a leak, well, it's like you're pissing into the wind basically, if you excuse my French. And yeah, it will be useless. You will transfer the fuel in vain. So before transferring the fuel, you need to make sure that there's no fuel leak. If there's a way actually to kind of try to diagnose a fuel leak. Let's have a look at the checklist actually. That display is going to be well messed up. If we go to non-normal fuel leak, fuel leak here. Okay. So these are not the. Because on the checklist, although this is not the current fuel checklist, fuel leak checklist, but I wanted to see. It says there's an additional section with all the what a fuel leak would look like. Otherwise, maybe in the imbalance, because there's also a checklist to for like a fuel imbalance. Oh, that's better there. So you see here it says the fuel imbalance message may be caused by an engine fuel leak, or by a fuel leak in general actually, because it can be like either an engine fuel leak, or it can be either the engine, as the fuel goes through the engine, there's something wrong and there's a leak there, or it can be the tank itself that leaks. Although it's a little bit more rare for that to happen, but yeah. So it tells you the fuel leak should be suspected if one or more of the following are true. So the total fuel remaining on ICAS is less than the planned fuel remaining. So that's why we do every waypoint, or at least every 20 minutes, every half an hour, We check the fuel we have over the flight plan, and if the fuel is less, then I will start like raising alarm, you know. Then the second possible condition is an engine has excessive fuel flow. So you would look at the engine page and see if you know, the fuel flow is out of the ordinary or not. At the moment it's like 4.3, that's kind of normal, so it's okay. Go back to the fuel imbalance. Then one main tank is abnormally low. So yeah, if you've got like a 2-3 ton difference between the two tanks, yeah, there's something not quite right. I mean, normally the fuel quantities stay more or less balanced, so that wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, Transat of course is the one that is famous. And then on progress page 2, so that's on the FMC, you go to progress, and then next page, progress page 2, it says the totalizer is less than the calculated fuel. So that's the totalizer quantity here, 84.9, which is more or less what's displayed here at the bottom of the upper ICAS display. And the calculated fuel here, which is going to explain to you why it is. The totalizer fuel is the sum of the individual tank quantities, so that's pretty much what's displayed here. And the calculated fuel is the totalizer value at engine start minus the fuel used, and the fuel used is calculated using the engine fuel flow sensors. So basically the calculated fuel is the amount of fuel that's gone through the engine since you started the engines, and the system works out like you know what the fuel remaining on board is. Very often at some point during the flight there starts to be a bit of a discrepancy, but as long as the totalizer is more than the calculated, that's good. It's when the totalizer is less, then you know it kind of starts raising a bit of suspicions there. And then yeah, the fuel imbalance says the fuel leak is suspected, yes, no, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'll reset the non-normal and close the checklist display. So yeah, before like balancing fuel, you've got to be very careful, because like the guys at of that Air Transat, they transfer like fuel into the leak, so, and then they totally run out of fuel. So any tools for the ice? Oh, and we are climbing to 330 auto step climb. I was looking at the engine gauges there, and it was like full blast. And where is a full blast? Are we losing speed or something? No, it's because we're climbing. See, I'm not even looking anymore. But it's good. Oops. Yeah, still Greenland.
The 1,000 feet to level off.
Yeah, 1,000 feet to level off, no bother. The aircraft is very good for icing. It's designed in a way that icing doesn't really affect the aircraft. And there's if you look at the systems, I'm not even gonna look at the instruments anymore. The aircraft is flying, and it's gonna fly on its own for like 7 or 8 hours, so it's okay. Basically, the aircraft has 3 icing protection system. A very basic one is the window heat system. Believe it or not, it's there to kind of help against any kind of frost or any kind of ice that could accumulate on the windows. and that would obviously block the view. So the windows are heated, and there's no possibility of icing forming on the windows. The window heat as well is also there to reinforce the windows, the glass, to make it less breakable, in particular if you like hit a bird or something. So it's got a little bit these two functions. And then you've got the a little bit more sophisticated, the anti-ice system for the engines and for the wing. For the engine, basically you get hot air from the engines that are like redirected towards like the engine, like the engine nacelle, and in particular the the engine anti-ice basically heats up like the whole kind of cow lip here, the whole entrance of the engine, so that like ice doesn't accumulate on the edges there and a little bit inside of the engine, and disrupts the airflow to the engine. And then you've got the wing anti-ice, which heats up the edges of the wing here, and to try to melt the ice as well. The engine anti-ice system would come on from time to time. The wing anti-ice system I rarely see. The aircraft is very good at shedding the ice by itself, so to speak, almost, because the wing anti-ice system hardly comes on. The whole system is automatic. I've made a video on the YouTube channel about the engine anti-ice in particular, and the simulator here doesn't really happen very often. You'll need to be really in the good conditions. In the video I made on YouTube, I had to use the base weather engine in FSX and like put severe icing and make it very cold for, like, you know, the automatic engine anti-ice system to kick in. So yeah, turning at 82 north, 60 west, almost there, man. So I'll put in the fixed page end pole, which is the obviously the North Pole waypoint, and it's not in the database. Thank you. It's not in the database. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna put north 90, east 00. Hey, happy days. 500 miles to go. So if we go, hey, here we are. So if we look at the navigation display, roughly at the map, well, the simplified map, yeah, we pass 82 degrees, 60, is it 60 west? Yeah, 60 west. So we're kind of on the western side of things, kind of in the western hemisphere, so to speak. Here's the North Pole up here, and we're gonna fly here 88 north on the mean, on the kind of 0 degrees like meridian, so kind of over like England, and that meridian that crosses England and, well, the UK and some of France and stuff, like kind of in the middle, so to speak, and then go towards Russia. But the North Pole will be up here. So we are quite close, eh? We know exactly over exactly the North Pole, but these are the routes taken. So, and as I said, we don't fly over the pole because that waypoint up here at Berry is the kind of transition point into or from Russian airspace, because they don't use random routes, they use the airway system. So all the airways like linked to that waypoint are very into or from Russia. So yeah, that's the way it's designed. So we got 420 nautical miles still on Toulouse there, but we're gonna come out of it. And here you can see Svalbard, Echo November Sierra Bravo with the arrow pointing there. Distance of about 745 nautical miles. We can see the green circle there, which is 420 miles based on Svalbard. So yeah, that's quite humbling, quite remote. Oh, it gets all white. The Bay of Land here, which is obviously there's no ice. A bit of water, and that looks like it's the ice cap. Which I guess in real as well, it's you don't really, it doesn't say, hey North Pole, I'm here, you know. It's just like a white expanse, and we don't really see much, but hey. To touch down, yeah, it's another 10 hours. Yeah, just under 10 hours, yeah. Almost there. And come back for the last hour or so for the landing in... oh, that's it. That's it. I don't know if you saw it. The reference up here changed to true. Instead of mag for magnetic is now changed to true, and down here you can see it says true in green, so we have changed to true heading now. So you see it's done it automatically. It's really well done, really good. So the heading bug now, well, the track bug is totally out of sync. I'm gonna resync it. But yeah, did you see that? Change automatically. So we are at we passed 82, so we must be just over 82 degrees north. Oh yeah, that's gonna happen. Here we are. It works as well in prepared. We are on top of the world almost. Yeah, that's why I was saying that's the ice cap here, which is in the scenery. And yeah, we're on top of the world more or less. Still progressing a little bit in this direction, but you can see like the north of Canada and Alaska there, Norway, Iceland. Yeah, we are on top of the world. See you later on. Yeah, the Aurora Borealis, yeah, it's and the winter in particular, you can have it for like sometimes 2 or 3 hours in a row. It's really nice. We got these kind of green, purple, kind of yellow colors. It's all kind of dancing, and but as I was saying earlier on, it's also like, you know, it's the reaction of all these how do you call that? All the space radiations and stuff that hits the Earth atmosphere, and that's basically you know, that's basically what you see, you know, and that's what the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis is. It's like the you know, all the radiations hitting the the atmosphere and the magnetic field that protects the atmosphere. It is it is an amazing sight. It's true. It's really beautiful. Very often we you know, to try to impress the girls, we bring the cabin crew members in the flight deck and say, oh, you want to see the northern lights? Oh yeah, I've never seen them before. So yeah, I look and wow, you see the you know, the lights, and they're always very impressed. They're like, wow, it's so lovely and stuff. You say, yeah, it's great. It's actually quite difficult to take a photo of it. You need like a camera with the objective, with the lens that kind of remains open for a few seconds. Otherwise, if you take like a photo, let's say with your mobile phone or something, and the camera is quite basic, then you're not gonna get anything out of it. From what I understand, you need like a camera that kind of like keeps the lens open for like a couple of seconds, or so that it has time to take the light in. So if we go on the full range, we've got Tula behind us, but I can't see the distance, and then yes, Valband, I think, pointing in this direction. So Tula more or less right behind, and there's Valband here. These are the two options really for any major event, but they are very far. North Pole is only 232 miles away. Svalbard is 595, and Toulouse is 622 miles behind. So yeah, big distances right in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I'm repeating myself. I'm really surprised by the wind up here today. 55 knots is a lot. It's really a lot. It's a little bit more cloudy around here. Yeah, this is just the ice cap. There's no really many ground features in the. Even though it's WRBX Global, but I'm sure that the guys at WRBX Global didn't really put much work in the polar area. Keramet, as I said, this is a very common route over the North Pole, going via this waypoint Aberi. That's a very common waypoint used on these polar flights. I've been over that point a few times. We still have 75 tons of fuel. Jeez. We left with 131, was it, or something? Realize the amount of fuel that is burned, like more or less on a daily basis. You know, I think the fuel figure we had in Toronto was quite realistic. I think on a long flight like this, you'll be close to like 125, 130 tons easily on a 777, and this amount of fuel is burnt every day by, like, you know, dozens and dozens of aircraft, and it's mind-blowing, you know, when you think about it, all the amount of fuel that is burnt every day. Oh, well, maybe that's the North Pole up here. Maybe in this corner there, I don't know. This is the North Pole there, this point here. I don't know if we're gonna see Santa. It's not the time of year. Yeah, maybe this leads to, yeah, I don't know. And then 0501 for the landing, so that'll be 6 o'clock in the morning UK time. Sorry guys, I know it's a little bit early, 7 o'clock European time. 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning in kind of Eastern Europe-ish. So yeah, sorry guys, I know it's gonna be early for the landing. I don't know if you'll be around. I hope to see some of you tomorrow morning for the landing in Hong Kong. By the time we land in Hong Kong, it would be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We left Toronto, it was when we left it was like 1400 Zulu, and 1400 Zulu was it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. So 9 o'clock in the morning today, Friday the 18th, and we're gonna get to Hong Kong at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Saturday the 20th. That's also quite amazing actually when you think about it. You know, the way that the time kind of disappears. You leave on you leave Toronto on a Friday morning, and you get to destination. It's Saturday early afternoon. Think about that one as well. Yeah, it's kind of evening time now in the States. Well, kind of mid-afternoon. The sun up here is still it's come down a little bit. Oh, there's a bit of turbulence there again. Sorry about the sheer textures there. Yeah, the sun is still up, but it's gone down a little bit. It's not as high as it was earlier on. Obviously now we're gonna once we get on top and we go down, we're gonna get towards the dark side of the earth. We're gonna go towards the night side. So the sun, I would imagine, is gonna go down a little bit more. But then as the sun goes around the earth, well, as the sun comes round to the other side, then for, you know, morning time in Asia, then we'll catch the sun on the other side. So the sun from where it is now here, the sun is here, and we're kind of pointing in the northeasterly direction. So as we go on top and go down, the sun is going to come down a little bit more, and then as we get to the other side, the sun is going to come back kind of here and probably go back up. I'll be in bed. I can't stay for the whole flight, man. It's too long. Oh, why is it turning? Oh, the simulator is getting confused there. Why is this turbulence? Wow, the simulator is getting confused there. Oh, good God. Why did it turn like this? Or is it turbulence that made it turn? Oh. No, I think 165 is a decent size. I don't think 165 will be a problem height-wise to be a pilot. Oh yeah, the simulator is struggling now. He's now deviated like left of track. He's lost the tracking. I can't hack it anymore. Wow, I was not expecting this. Tigerman Gaming YT, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream, sir. It's regaining the route. I don't imagine it's turbulence that created that. Let's hope it's gonna settle down a bit. Yeah, I think the North Pole is pretty much up there, somewhere up there. Here we are, pretty much on top. It's amazing. You can see like Norway, a bit of Finland here, Russia, I believe. Svalbard will be, I think that will be Svalbard here, between kind of Norway and Greenland. Yeah, we're not be that close. So coming from North America here, all the way up here, and then back down this way. Yeah, guys, it's not like the real thing, but that's the flight simulator of prepared the North Pole. Enjoy the view. Yeah, it's funny, this thing seems to kind of like follow us. Oh, and we are turning. Whoa! Yeah, the tracking is very bad. You can see it says like it's 3.9 miles, 4 miles right off track here. It's completely losing the tracking here. Because we are so high and the coordinates like change so quickly, as I was showing you here. You know, the longitude like changes so quickly. I think the computer can't compute, if I can say that, like all the you know, the route. I can't just do it. It's really struggling with the tracking here. See, we passed like 88 degrees north, 00 east, like when was that? At 08 4 minutes ago, and we are already at 11 degrees east. Try to do that lower latitudes to go from 0 degrees east, so basically from like the UK to possibly Sweden. It's not gonna happen in 4 minutes. But here, because the longitude like meridians are so close to each other at the top, then it happens very quickly. No, I don't know much about the 787. I've got a book about it. I understand there's quite a few changes compared to a 777 kind of technology and architecture, so to speak. Yeah, I understand the bleed system is totally different. Yeah, there's not really any bleed system as per se. The hydraulic system is different. It doesn't run on 3000 psi, but I think it runs on 5000 psi. So more pressure, but the plumbing, if you want, is lighter and stronger as well. Obviously, you've got that composite material to make the fuselage, and so it's quite advanced. It's really impressive. Thank you for the photo, Candy Lover LOL XD. Candy Lover. Yeah, so whenever I look like on the side with the on the side of the aircraft, and the North Pole waypoint is more or less a beam, that triangle is pointing towards it. So yeah, here we are. That's very much in this direction there. Wow! On Servinfo, yeah man, I'm already like kind of north of Sweden. Wow, it goes so quick. With like the flattened surface of the earth. Like 20 minutes I was like right on top of Greenland. Now I'm like way like east. Fantastic. Yeah, no, I've mainly been flying the 737 and then the 777. Yeah, there is ATC more or less everywhere on the earth. Yeah, you would have ATC. It's obviously a basic service, and there's no radar. It's all procedural. So by procedural, I mean that air traffic control relies on your position reports to kind of work out where the traffic is, because yeah, there's no radar. There's nothing up there. But yeah, there is air traffic control. Definitely. Now we're approaching that waypoint Aberry, which, as I said, is a very common point used for these polar flights. A lot of polar flights go through that Aberry waypoint, so it's quite popular and very common waypoint to use. And yeah, after Aberry we are entering Russian airspace, and you would be talking to Murmansk Oceanic Control on HF radio. Frequencies are... actually I have the frequencies here. Yeah, 4672-8950. 8950 during the day, 4672 at night, or 5694. Yeah, 4672, 5694, 8950, 11390. They will give you a thermal check and yeah, ask you to report, like, you know, obviously the position at Aberry, which is now, wow, the tracking is suffering there. And then maybe report further down as well. Depends how much traffic they have. If they have a lot of traffic, maybe they need a little bit more information. if there's not much traffic, they just want to know what time you pass the Aberry waypoint here, and then what time you're gonna be kind of possibly like exiting the airspace or something. So depends. Yeah, true. Actually, there's an area around the North Pole there. There's a very thin line where there's actually no FIR, no flight information region. So that area is not claimed by anybody. It's a kind of open airspace, open area, if you want. It's a bit like international waters, or it's just there's no authority in that section. And there's another like few areas like this around the world where there's no air traffic control, and there's no authorities like claiming like control over over the areas. But otherwise, most of the Earth is kind of under the authority of a country, or yeah. ITCZ, yes, ITCZ will kind of be the intertropical convergence zone. Will be a little bit further south. Maybe not around here. So that's it. We're now into Russian airspace. Na zdrowie. Na zdrowie. No over the North Pole, no VHF at all, and even HF is not always working very well, as you say, like with the Northern Lights, or with all the atmospheric like disturbance and all the radiations and all the basically all the atmospheric disturbance. Even the HF radio doesn't propagate very well. So as I pointed out earlier on, it's not uncommon to have like periods of radio blackout for like half an hour, 2 hours. It's not uncommon. It happens very often. So when that happens, yeah, well, you're pretty much on your own. There's nothing you can do. You're not gonna. It's not as if you can park the aircraft on the side of the road and stop everything, and then you obviously need to continue. If something goes wrong, then yeah, you're a little bit on your own. But what can you do? You know, you need to keep flying. Interference KR, your position, for example, if you want to make a position report on this aircraft, a good thing to use is with the FMC. You go to the progress page here, click the progress button, the prog button here, and then you click on that prompt here, pause report. And then if I was to make a position now to ATC, to Murmansk radio on the HF frequency, I would say something like Cathay 825, position Aberry, time 2019, flight level 330, estimating Ravul 2056, and MOTEM next. And that's what I would do. That's what I would say. So you will give your call sign here, Cathay 825, position Aberry, which is the waypoint you've just passed and you're reporting. The time you were there, 2019, the altitude you were there, so flight level 330. Then the estimate to the next waypoint, Ravul, the time you're gonna be there, 2056, and then the next waypoint after that. So I will be, as I said, something like Cathay 825, position Aberry 2019, flight level 330, estimating arrival 2056 for them next. And I will get back to you. Na zdrowie, that's all understood. Thank you very much. Report Ravul. And then at Ravul again, you will make the same kind of call, following the same format. Yeah, the coordinates of the waypoint is made up of coordinates. So you are mentioning flying from London to New York. Yeah, over the North Atlantic, the waypoints will be defined by coordinates. So you would give the coordinates. So you would say something like, I don't know, speedbird 123, 55 degrees north, 20 west, time 2014. Estimating 55 degrees north, 30 west, time 2124, and 55 north, 30 west next, something like that. So yeah, you would have to give out the latitude and where the coordinates of the waypoint, if they are defined by latitude and longitude. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Anyway, dear people, I think I'm gonna put the stream on hold for now. Gonna go to a little dodo. I think it's dodo time. The augmenting crew is gonna take over. So yeah, when the augmenting crew like takes over, we will like kind of do a little handover brief. Yeah, you see that thing, that line is now pointing back. The sun is still here, so yeah, I think it's gonna be daylight all the way. Yeah, we would give like the augmenting crew like a little handover brief. Say, well, that's it. Okay, we are. Flight level 330, we passed Aberry at, I'll show them the position report, have an idea of where we are a little bit. Let's say we are talking to Murmansk on HF, we would show them the HF frequencies here. We said it was 4679, was it? 4672, so you would have like 4672 here, like this. 4672 active on the HF. We've done a cell call check, they gave us the cell call check, so that's good. Navigate fuel wise, the last report we had at Aberry 71.9. Where's the flight plan? Here is. And, the flight plan was saying Aberry 71.9, so we are bang on the fuel consumption actually. The fuel is bang on. So we've not saved any fuel, but we've not lost any fuel. We are at Aberry, we are 9 minutes late. Wow. So the winds were probably a little bit stronger, and we were maybe saving a little bit of fuel, but because we are spending more time in the air until that waypoint, that's maybe why we're just on the fuel consumption. And yeah, we'll tell them if there's been any problems in the cabin, any passenger issues or anything, but usually on these long flights people would then settle down and maybe go for a little snooze or something, so there wouldn't be much happening, but you never know. Yeah, now over the pole we're actually like going down on the Asian side. We passed the pole about 10-15 minutes ago already, and going back down, yeah, 86 degrees north, 56 degrees east. We are now like going down on the Russian side towards Asia, yeah. The navigation seems to be stabilizing a little bit, because at the top there I kind of went left and right. I think the computer was finding it difficult to calculate, you know, and maintain the track. The coordinates like change so quickly that it's maybe a little bit difficult for the computer to compute all that stuff. The aircraft doesn't really bother. Kind of does it normally, but it doesn't find it difficult. It doesn't like do all these essays like we did, but yeah, here maybe it's a little bit more difficult. Pre-flight, certainly not. Deboarding used to be the case. Apparently, yeah, we have new. There's a new rule that also forbids cockpit visits during deboarding, during disembarkation. So I'm afraid no more cockpit visits, even on the ground. Yeah, it's sad. It's very sad. Yeah, I think they are missing the trick here actually. I think they are, I don't know. That's the way it is.